Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. Activision-Blizzard just had huge layoffs, so they must be doing really poorly, right? In this video, let's take a look at that because Microsoft just released their quarterly report from October to December yesterday, and nowadays Activision-Blizzard, of course, acquisition has been completed. It is now part of Microsoft, so we're no longer getting quarterly reports from Activision, which is kind of a shame because Microsoft does not give us anywhere near the level of detail that Activision used to do, but there are some details that you can find from Microsoft as well. So let's take a look. In particular, this slide, net impact from the Activision acquisition. So net impact from Activision, what does this slide really tell us? Revenue, so revenue from Activision, $2.08 billion. Then there's a whole bunch of costs, so there's purchase accounting adjustments, integration and transaction related costs, 0.58 billion, and other cost of revenue, 0.35. So cost of revenue overall is 0.93 billion. So that is the cost that is actually taken in order to deliver the products. Cost of revenue is the direct cost of actually delivering products to customers, actually creating products and delivering them to customer. That leaves them with gross margin of 1.16 billion. And then there's another set of purchase accounting adjustments, integration and transaction related costs of 0.55 billion, and other operating expenses of 1.04 billion. So this is stuff like, for example, new title development, so product development and other indirect costs that don't immediately put a new product into customers' hands, which results in operating expenses of 1.59 billion. So operating income or loss, in this case, loss from net impact of Activision acquisition of 0.44 billion. However, there's several points to note here. One is that all these lines about purchase accounting adjustments, integration and transaction related costs, all of these costs are costs related to the acquisition and related to integrating Activision into Microsoft. So none of those costs would have been accrued if Activision had not been bought. So that 1.13 billion would not have been spent at all without this acquisition, which would have left Activision highly profitable. Other thing to note, Activision acquisition details. The Activision acquisition closed on October 13th, and the results from the date of the acquisition are reported in the more personal computing segment. So this is from October 13th. So this is not the full quarter. This is 87% of a quarter. So you cannot directly compare these numbers to old quarterly reports from Activision because this is not exactly a full quarter. So can we somehow compare these numbers to old Activision numbers? Well, we can in a very crude way. I mean, well, yeah, it's kind of crude, but that was 87% of the quarter. So what if we extrapolate that the entire quarter would have went as that 87% went and just add that missing part? So cost of revenue plus operating expenses of 1.39 billion from that period, then extrapolated to a full quarter, that would be 1.6 billion for a full quarter. And as it turns out, the latest report that I was able to find from Activision was quarter 2, and quarter 2 was 1.624 billion. So that's quite a close match. Costs can be fairly steady over a period of time. You pay people salary and so on. Revenues are a little bit trickier because there's new releases, there's the holiday season. So is early October of the same value as December? Well, anyway, a simple extrapolation from 2.08 billion would give a 2.39 billion for the full quarter, which would be plus 2.4% year on year, because quarter 4 of 2022, Activision was making revenue of 2.334 billion, and in quarter 2 of 2023, the latest quarter report that I was able to find, they made a revenue of 2.207 billion. So this would be quite in line again, these numbers. And therefore, if we combine these two numbers, then we have operating income of 0.79 billion for Activision-Blizzard from the last quarter of 2023. And that would be an all-time record for the company. Even if we just take the raw numbers from October 13th until the end of the year, that 0.69 billion from post-acquisition is also an all-time record for the company. Their previous record was 0.68 billion. So yeah. Record revenues, record operating profit. Activision-Blizzard has been making more money than ever. And actually, Microsoft acknowledged this in their quarterly report, where they said that the gaming department benefited from better than expected performance from Activision-Blizzard. Yeah, so we have that. So if you think about Activision-Blizzard layoffs, well, they were just making record money, more money than ever before, and then they lay off 1,900 people. So what conclusions can we draw from this exercise? One is that we have sadly lost most of the visibility into how studios like Blizzard are doing. Microsoft does release a short statement of all the products that they have published during a period of time, but Activision Blizzard products were not part of that yet. There was nothing about those. There was something like Forza was mentioned, for example, Minecraft was mentioned, but none of the Activision Blizzard products were mentioned there. But I do expect we will get some short statements about the products in future there. But like previously, we used to get an idea, okay, Activision is doing this and Blizzard is doing that. Studio level, that has been lost. We just won't be able to see that anymore. We can see what Activision Blizzard does as a whole for the rest of the year, because while the integration proceeds and they're publishing information about the integration process, and also there's always these year-on-year comparisons, and because Activision Blizzard is such a huge chunk of Microsoft gaming now, we can see from year-on-year comparison pretty well like how is Activision Blizzard doing actually. But that's only Activision Blizzard as a whole, not Activision, not just Blizzard. So yeah, it's going to be much more difficult to track the performance of these parts, but for now we can still see the whole performance, and we can see that all these huge layoffs were made despite absolute top-tier record profits. Yeah, that's a bummer. Thank you for watching. Click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and a special thanks to all of my Patreon supporters, YouTube members and Twitch subscribers who make all of these videos possible.